Hi everyone, welcome to the introduction of the Electronic Trading Club. Everything is still just starting out, so please just bear with me. This presentation is really just what the club is about, whether you would be interested in what we deal with and what we find interesting, and more specifically what we exclude. Electronic trading is taking the world by storm. It's not new, but it really is growing extensively. Whether called electronic trading, algorithmic trading, robotic trading, expert advisors, there's 1,000 names really for the same thing. What we really want is for the computer to trade some set of rules for us. It's not so much of a new trend, but it's something that's catching on and really not going away soon. There are tons of sites available on the internet. However, often these lack the ability to really chat and ask questions in a natural conversation. The vision for the club is to have an open, friendly environment where people who are interested in running their own robots to trade the markets to be able to converse. The club is about sharing knowledge, conversing, interacting, and most importantly, learning from others who are trying the same thing. The club is there to discuss everything from the latest trends with robotic trading to experiences traders have had and everything in between. The club is meant to be a platform for those who wish to connect and socially interact with others. So it's not meant to be a lecturing environment, but rather a platform that facilitates conversation. As you can see on the slide, the topics will surround items like backtesting, running a robot, new system ideas, evaluating old systems, and so on. Hopefully conversations will flow from this, and I'll get into the structure of the club a bit later. But what I'm trying to get across is that it's not meant to be a lecturing environment, it's meant to be an open, friendly platform for those interested in this to be able to chat about it. This slide is basically a picture of where it shows where the club fits in. The market is obviously pretty wide, and one can discuss everything from economic indicators to valuations for hours. This chart just very simplistically shows some categories to pinpoint where we fit in. With a chart, you'll be able to categorize people like Warren Buffett, who's in the discretionary fundamental value group, where someone like William O'Neill would fall into the mechanical fundamental Canslem approach. This club specializes in mechanical technicals and basically how to automate this. In other words, mechanical, either manual or an automated system, goes into technicals and uses indicators. That's where we fit in. So it's basically anything that, technicals being anything that is only based on price or volume or derived from this. It doesn't include balance sheets or economic indicators or any other source of data. So we will be discussing technical indicators like the RSI combined with moving averages and so on. And importantly, if it cannot be made into a robotic mechanical system, it is not discussed as it's outside the scope. Here is what we don't want in the club. Basically, the first is ego. We are researchers. Whatever your background, we look at data, we look at the facts, and we make up our own minds. There is no space for ego in that. Secondly, market calls. We are not here to discuss interest rate hikes or what the central banks may or may not do. Specific shares on index calls are not discussed. The focus is on systems. So if it's not in a system, it's not in the club. Finally, it is understood that people in this club will come with different experiences. Some more beginner, some just with a completely different way of looking at things. What this club is not, it is not a course on how to trade. The presentations are focused on discussions that simply revolve around topics on algorithmic trading. From this, your own system designs and ideas will hopefully either come about or improve. Hopefully your ideas and discussions then help inspire others on getting creative, and we will benefit from this club. But please note, whatever knowledge you take away from the club is on you. It is your responsibility, and you are accountable for your own actions, not the club. We look at data, we add our input, and we each take our own actions from that. Here's the idea of the structure of the club. To quickly touch on the structure of the presentations will basically be there will be a discussion which is chosen, some kind of topic. Some thoughts and research will be presented on this. The floor will be open for questions or experiences on this. We then move over to a more practical side where we would probably be looking at some kind of trading system. We might have discussions around that, or we would just be talking about coding techniques and how to program something ourselves. So a bit more of a practical look at things. An example of this might be where we take moving averages, for example. We look at some data on best results, we look at the differences between the different indices, and we have a discussion on this. Do they work? Don't they work? Can they be profitable? The second part of the presentation, we move over to the more practical side of things, as I said, then where we would look at a system in moving average, where we evaluate it, we give our opinions. Finally, the last part we look at is a bit of code, more likely in both AmiBroker and MQL. We take some code, see how it works, maybe run a backtest on it, discuss experiences on it, and so forth. The code could be related to the system or completely unrelated as well, depending on the topic. And hopefully we might even get some guest speakers as well. Finally, on the last slide, here's a list of some basic examples of topics that might come up. For instance, using the early example of moving averages, what are the results on a long, short, stop and reverse strategy on an index? How do these results change over different indexes, like the DAX versus the S&P versus the ALSI? Where to get free intraday data from? We talk about different software, what experiences we've had, good and bad. What are some basic terminology in the system trading world? This is just to give you an idea. The list of possible topics is very long, and as the industry changes, so new things will get added. To conclude, I hope this presentation sums up the idea of the club and what it's about. Here just shows some of my contact details if there are any questions or struggles. I'm going to try and post both the PowerPoint and the video slides for those who want to still be part of this but struggle to physically get to the meetings. Thank you very much for listening and hope to see you soon at the club.